You wake up in your marble palace, or more accurately, you wake up on silk sheets that cost more than an entire village, because being a Roman emperor is basically a 24/7 competition in conspicuous excess. The air smells faintly of perfume, sweat, and ambition. Your servants are already bustling about, fanning you, fluffing your pillow, and making sure that your toga doesn't wrinkle while you dream about empire. Occasionally one will sneeze into a golden basin and apologize profusely as if the gods themselves might be offended. You pretend not to notice because awareness of servants' nasal indignities is beneath an emperor. Breakfast, if you can call it that, is an elaborate ritual. Not a bowl of cereal or a piece of bread. No, you are fed like a god, or at least like someone who wants people to think you are one. Honeyed bread, olives, figs, dates imported from lands your generals are currently conquering, cheese made from the milk of goats you've never met, and of course wine. Because why waste time with water when you can start your day slightly intoxicated? Even the slaves drink wine, though theirs is likely a little more sour and a little less politically advantageous. You nibble delicately, which is code for tasting enough that someone can write a poem about your refinement, but not so much that you miss an opportunity to mock a minor official with a glance. The chefs, standing nervously nearby, wait for a nod of approval before retreating, like soldiers returning from a particularly flavorful battle. Occasionally, one will glance at you as if to ask, "Did you like the honey?" And you nod sagely, knowing that silence is the most fearsome answer. After breakfast comes the morning audience, also known as pretend you care while hundreds of people kneel before you. Senators shuffle in, each carrying petitions, complaints, and bribes disguised as gifts. One senator wants a tax exemption, another wants his cousin executed for reasons that are entirely irrelevant to you, but politically entertaining. Occasionally, a senator will attempt to subtly undermine your taste in wine or the cut of your toga. These are delicate operations. A misplaced glare or a delayed nod can result in disgrace, exile, or dramatic suicide. You practice patience, which is your most valuable weapon. And then there's the matter of the gladiator games. Oh yes, the blood sports that everyone loves but no one actually enjoys cleaning up. You nod thoughtfully, scribble notes, and smile like you are weighing the fate of Rome itself, when in reality you are silently calculating which senator would look best thrown to the lions. Occasionally you pause to admire a bribe, a finely carved gem, a rare scroll, or a particularly ornate sandal. All are noted for future reference. Loyalty, taste, and potential for dramatic betrayal. Mid-morning, it's time for inspection of the city. You dress in your finest toga, the one with gold threads, because nothing says I am supreme ruler like outshining the sun. Carriage, guards, crowds. Romans adore a spectacle. Streets are lined with people pretending to cheer while secretly hoping you trip. You wave, they cheer, you nod, you smirk. The aqueducts perfect, the roads perfect, the baths soon. All the while your mind wanders to dinner. Will it be peacock tonight, or maybe dormice stuffed with nuts? Decisions of state are exhausting, and every movement is a reminder that your empire is not just vast, but meticulously curated for both fear and admiration. By mid-morning, the business of empire begins. You sign decrees that affect millions of lives, all while fending off senators who attempt subtle verbal attacks on your honor, fashion choices, or taste in wine. Some senators are blunt, others clever. One may say, "The harvest looks poor this year, Caesar," while subtly implying you are poor at everything. Your response must be swift, witty, and terrifying, because being a Roman emperor is 10% governance, 40% propaganda, and 50% making everyone fear you just enough to keep their bribes coming. Every signature, every nod, every scribbled seal is simultaneously law, theater, and intimidation. At this point, your stomach reminds you that breakfast was both magnificent and insufficient. Time for a light mid-morning snack. Figs, olives, maybe a tiny piece of stuffed dormouse if you're feeling particularly decadent. Wine, naturally, because Roman food without wine is just grapes and sadness. The servants hover, pouring and plating with the sort of attention that borders on religious devotion, and you accept it all with a sense of solemn ceremony, because even snacks are ceremonial when you rule an empire. Occasionally a poet will recite a line about figs and fate, and you nod gravely, knowing that no verse can truly capture the majesty of a dormouse stuffed with almonds. Midday approaches, which means the games, the spectacle, or the philosophical debate. You may choose a stroll through the gardens, surrounded by statues of past emperors who all died in suspiciously entertaining ways. Perhaps a philosopher or two is brought forward to discuss virtue, destiny, or how to politely insult your rivals without triggering civil war. You listen, nod sagely, and occasionally stroke your chin in thought, all while imagining how one could use their wisdom to justify executing a senator for spitting in the wrong direction. The gardens themselves are a testament to empire. Fountains with water imported from distant mountains, peacocks that seem to judge your life choices, and carefully pruned hedges in shapes that hint at both power and mild existential dread. Lunch for an emperor is no mere meal. It is an event. You recline on your couch while courses are brought in, roasted meats, exotic fruits, seafood, honeyed pastries. Each dish is more elaborate than the last, and you are expected to taste it, comment, and appear delighted. Slaves pour wine from a golden jug into a silver cup, while poets or musicians provide the oral equivalent of a pat on the back for your taste. Occasionally you toss a fig to a passing servant, because generosity and cruelty are basically the same thing at this point. Discussions swirl around the table. Ambassadors from distant lands, generals boasting of victories, and advisors nervously clarifying that yes, the treasury is still in your hands, even if Rome itself feels like it is only loosely held together by public approval and fear. By the end of lunch, your empire has been metaphorically managed, your stomach is full, and your mind is slightly buzzed from wine and power. But do not mistake this for relaxation. You are a Roman emperor. The rest of the day is long, unpredictable, and often involves parades, public appearances, trials, or interrogations. The midday sun is harsh, and you begin to understand why the senators are always so dramatic about their grievances. They do not carry your sandals, your ego, or the potential weight of being deified while still alive. The city's pulse is your pulse, its triumphs and tragedies yours to admire, manipulate, and occasionally mock from your balcony. The afternoon begins with inspection of your personal domains, gardens, stables, and the imperial stables, where horses are groomed more elaborately than most humans. You walk among the animals with a sense of superiority, occasionally petting one to remind it who truly reigns. Servants fan you even here, for sunlight is a mortal enemy, and you are not merely mortal, you are spectacle incarnate. Reports are whispered in your ear about the condition of the grain stores, the fish markets, and the state of the public baths. Every detail matters because an emperor is judged by the empire's smallest imperfections, or at least by the stories told about them at dinner parties 2 provinces away. Later in the afternoon, legal matters demand your attention. You preside over trials sentencing petty thieves to work in the aqueducts and noble malcontents to more imaginative fates. Laws are interpreted with both precision and theatricality. A simple tax dispute might turn into a public demonstration of your wisdom, mercy, or terrifying decisiveness. Senators lean forward nervously, aware that your gaze could turn a casual misstep into a career-ending catastrophe. Occasionally you throw a coin into the crowd for dramatic effect, which doubles as bribery prevention and performance art. By late afternoon, it is time for the gladiator games. The arena trembles with anticipation. You arrive atop a golden litter carried by 6 slaves, the sun gleaming off your laurel crown as the crowd roars. The first combatants are introduced, men and women trained to kill or be killed, their armor clinking, weapons polished, and fear barely hidden behind bravado. Gladiators clash with brutal elegance, swords scrape, shields splinter, and screams echo like a dreadful symphony. Sometimes the weak fall quickly. Sometimes a mighty fighter stands alone against 3, defying death and crowd expectations. The crowd roars at every cut, every dodge, every death. You have the power to grant mercy or death with a mere flick of your hand. The thumbs-up, thumbs-down myth is mostly true. One wrong gesture and a life ends, often spilling onto the sand in a macabre demonstration of Roman justice. You sip your wine and smile, because this is entertainment, diplomacy, and subtle intimidation all rolled into one. By the end of the games, bodies are carried off, The crowd is buzzing, and you have reinforced your reputation as both benevolent and terrifying. After the games, you retire to the baths. Not merely a soak, but a ritual of empire. The baths are warm, steam-filled palaces of marble and mosaic. You lie in water scented with oils and petals, while slaves massage your limbs, scrape your skin with strigils, and whisper news from every corner of Rome. The baths are a place of relaxation, politics, and subtle social maneuvering. Fellow elites discuss alliances, trade deals, and poetic critiques of your rule, all while floating in pools of varying temperature. You pause in the caldarium, letting the heat loosen both muscles and grudges. Cold plunges follow, invigorating you and reminding you that every challenge, political, military, or culinary, can be faced with Roman fortitude and style. Evening approaches, and with it comes dinner, another performance of wealth, taste, and subtle cruelty. Courses arrive in succession: roasted meats, exotic fish, stuffed birds, and honeyed pastries. Musicians play, poets recite, advisors offer updates. You taste, comment, toss a fig to a slave, sip wine, and remind everyone of the inescapable fact: you are emperor. The night stretches long. Political envoys arrive with urgent messages. Rumors of rebellion are whispered. You lie on silk sheets, exhausted yet vigilant. Marble walls echo your thoughts. The empire sleeps under your gaze, yet never truly rests. For a Roman emperor, the day ends only when you allow it. Never before, never lightly, and never without style, cruelty, ceremonial wine, and careful mental notes of which senators might be tossed to the lions next. And when dawn comes again, the cycle begins anew. Breakfast, audience, inspection, legal matters, games, baths, dinner, intrigue. You are emperor. You are spectacle. You are Rome.